folks. I'm going to do a reading. This is going to be a multi-parter. I promise I won't put out more than 2 a day of this. It's going to be some heavy listening. I'm going to push the 10-minute limit. It's from the McIlvaney Intelligence Advisor. I can't afford the subscription. It's like $200 a year to get this thing, but I have a friend a coworker who subscribes to this, and he's offered to share them with me, and since I've started reading these, it's a good periodical. I'm going to share this with you. This one is The End of the Party. America's socialized economy is rolling over again. Preamble. There's nothing natural in the markets. Everything is being manipulated by the government. The government is now in the business of giving bad advice and deceiving the people. By holding interest rates at zero, the government is basically tricking the population into going long on just about every kind of security except cash at the price of most certainly not getting an adequate return for the risks they are running. People can't survive earning 0% on their money, so the government is forcing everyone in the investing public to speculate. I am more worried about the world more broadly than I have been in my entire career. That was from John Darman, respected money manager, Bob Post Group. I believe that the Obama administration and Greenspan-Bernanke Fed's battle against the natural forces of the primary bear market will end up having virtually destroyed America. Do your friends a favor. Tell them to batten down the hatches because there's a hard rain coming. Tell them to get out of debt and sell anything they can sell and don't need in order to get liquid. By the end of this year, they won't recognize the country. That's Richard Russell from May 17th, 2010. The fact is that the federal government is now owning or controlling over 50% of our economy. The private sector is shrinking by the hour, while Washington grows by leaps and bounds. Once the stimulus from the Fed is gone and the big tax increases bite, the economy will have a plunge back into recession or worse. That will require new bailout programs at great expense, and tax revenues will plunge. The so-called rich will retire or leave the country. Bert Dolman, Wellington Letter, May 6th, 2010. The sewers of influence that course through America's financial system are hidden from the public eye for good reason. If Americans understood the intent and motives of those who control the nation's finances, they would realize they're the patsies in an ongoing sucker game with political parties, the hired hacks who work on behalf of those who run the country. But of course, Americans don't understand it, and the game goes on. Daryl Shaun, Financial Sense, May 11th, 2010. Socialized medicine is the keystone in the arch of the socialized state. Vladimir Lenin. Do a little intro. America today is run, well, it's actually being raped, by an unholy trinity of the Fed, government, Wall Street, which is driven by raw, unadulterated greed, corruption, and dishonesty. They will lie, steal, manipulate markets, bribe, or receive bribes, for money and power. They control the mainline media, except for Fox News, and, well, I even doubt that. And are brainwashing the public with nonstop lies, propaganda, and disinformation on the economy, the financial system, the bailouts, and the markets. He's not saying anything I don't know, and anybody that's paying attention doesn't know. But this is another source that is just reaffirming what we know. Our financial markets, especially the stock market, are completely rigged for the benefit of the big banks and Wall Street investment houses, who are making many billions in profits off their bailout funds, which have been funneled primarily into Wall Street and the big banks from non-stop market manipulation and from the mortgage derivatives bubble which they intentionally created and massively profited by them. The big Wall Street giants like Goldman Sachs, J.P. Chase, Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, etc. intentionally created the mortgage bubble knowing that it would collapse, lured the public and their clients in it, bet against those investments, concurrently shortening them by tens of billions, and reaped hundreds of billions in profits as their homemade mortgage bubble collapsed. Where was the administration and Congress when all this was happening? Sharing in the take via bribes, campaign contributions, and a piece of the action. This is why new financial controls out of Washington and the investigation of Goldman Sachs, which has provided many of the leaders of the Fed and Treasury over the past few decades, think Robert Rubin, Clinton's Treasury Secretary, and Hank Paulson, Bush's Treasury Secretary, are a joke. Wall Street has paid off huge amounts of the U.S. Congress. It supported Obama 7-1 versus McCain in 28. And Goldman Sachs was Wall Street's largest contributor to the Obama campaign. Incidentally, British Petroleum, of recent oil spill fame, was also one of Obama's largest contributors. The investigations of Wall Street are a smokescreen to make the U.S. public believe that the government, especially the Democratic Congress and Obama, are declaring war on corruption in high places. The truth is, they are an integral part of that corruption. The Democrats desperately need a campaign issue for November 2010, someone to blame for the economic financial disaster we are in. So they have fabricated a phony war on corruption on Wall Street, which will be the scapegoat to blame the financial crisis on. Instead of the socialist policies of the Democratic administration and Congress, in truth, the Fed, government, Wall Street are all guilty and should be removed from power. But the government, including the Bush and Obama administrations and Congress and the Fed, are totally in collusion with and will in reality be running interference for Wall Street, just as the FDA runs interference for the big pharmaceuticals. The SEC runs interference for Wall Street, and the TSA is designed to make the public believe the government is really fighting terrorism and protecting the public, when in reality they're not. The reality: America is not in economic recovery. We simply had a small bounce from the infusion of trillions of dollars in printing press money, which in any case went primarily to Wall Street and the big banks. The Trinity launched a massive propaganda disinformation campaign through their wholly owned media to convince the public, us consumers, that we are in a strong recovery and they should borrow, buy consumer goods and homes, invest in stocks, etc. To convince the public that the recovery was real, they hyped, manipulated, and poured hundreds of billions of bailout funds into the stock market, repeating thousands of times that the new bull market in stocks proved that we were in a strong new economic recovery. The Trinity fabricated economic stats which were broadcast loudly to the public and the world via Wall Street media government hype. False stats like unemployment dropping to 9.7%, whereas in reality it's really closer to 22%. We're going to stop this one there. Next is the reality, more of the reality. Peace out.